For the first time, Thomas Markle is speaking out about the painful moment he had to tell his daughter, Meghan, that he wouldn't be able to walk her down the aisle. Meghan cried, "I'm sure she did," he said. But she did cry. And they both said, "Take care of yourself." Reflecting on the moment Prince Charles stepped in to fulfill that role, Thomas admitted to feeling a twinge of jealousy. "I wish it was me," he confessed. "But thank God he was there, and I thank him for that." Have you ever felt like there's more to a story than what we're told? Like the real truth is just beneath the surface, waiting to be revealed? For years, the world has only seen one side of Meghan Markle's story, a rise from Hollywood actress to royal family member, a seemingly perfect transformation into modern royalty. But today, that carefully managed narrative is beginning to crack. In a world where headlines often mask the truth, Thomas Markle has chosen this moment to break his long silence. While his daughter rose to global fame, first as an actress and later as the Duchess of Sussex, Thomas remained largely in the shadows, silent, sidelined, and, many assumed, forgotten. But the silence has finally ended. And what is revealing now is shaking the foundations of what many thought they knew about Meghan Markle. This moment comes after the bombshell Oprah Winfrey interview in which Meghan and Prince Harry exposed deeply personal details, including the revelation that they were married in secret 3 days before their official royal wedding. But even that dramatic interview barely scratched the surface of the hidden storm brewing for years: a fractured relationship, a father locked out of his daughter's new life, and now, a voice that refuses to be ignored. Yes, Thomas Markle is finally telling his story. The secrets he's unveiling are surprising, emotional, and are for some, deeply unsettling. His account is reshaping public perception, raising uncomfortable questions, and revealing a side of Meghan that many never imagined. Why now? What pushed him to speak after so long? And what truths has he held back until today? This is not just another royal family headline. This is a father's truth, a heartfelt account of love, estrangement, and longing. As we dive into the depths of Thomas and Meghan's broken relationship, be prepared to confront stories that were never told by the media. Stories that may challenge everything you believed. So grab your tea, sit back, and brace yourself. Because once you hear what Thomas has to say, you may never look at Meghan Markle the same way again. Long before the fame, the titles, and the controversy, there was simply a father and his daughter. Thomas Markle wasn't royalty. He was a hard-working television lighting director who led a modest life. But to him, Meghan wasn't just a child. She was his pride and joy, his little princess. He cheered the loudest at her school plays, brought her flowers after performances, and believed in her talent long before anyone else did. Despite financial hardship, Thomas gave everything he had to support Meghan's dreams. He paid for her private school education, financed acting lessons, and encouraged her to pursue her passion, even when it meant sacrificing his own needs. He remembers the quiet moments most, sharing fast food on the couch, helping her with homework, driving her to school. "We were a team," he once said. "Just the two of us. I was always there for her." Meghan, too, spoke fondly of her father in earlier interviews. She credited him with supporting her ambitions and being a constant presence during her childhood. For a time, it seemed nothing could break their bond. But as Meghan's career began to ascend, their relationship quietly shifted. The phone calls slowed. The visits home became infrequent. Texts went unanswered. Still, Thomas didn't worry at first. He chalked it up to the demands of her rising career. But then came the news that changed everything: Meghan was dating Prince Harry. Suddenly, she wasn't just an actress anymore, she was tabloid royalty. Paparazzi swarmed. The media obsession exploded. And Thomas felt himself fading from her life. At first, it was subtle: missed calls, unanswered texts. But soon it became something more painful. Holidays passed without a word. Birthdays went unacknowledged. The daughter he had once held in his arms seemed to disappear from his life. Thomas says he often wondered what had gone wrong. Was it pressure from the royal family? The media? Or something deeper, something personal? He still doesn't have a clear answer. But what hurt the most, he says, was the silence, the sense that he had become a stranger to the very daughter he once knew so intimately. And yet, through all the hurt, he insists on one thing: no matter how far apart we are, she'll always be my daughter. In the end, his story is a powerful reminder: fame doesn't erase human emotion. A father's love doesn't fade with distance or time. And no matter how high someone rises, those who help them take their first steps never forget. The bond between Thomas and Meghan wasn't built in palaces or under royal spotlight. It was built in everyday moments, in laughter, in sacrifice, and in love. It was 2018, and the world was abuzz with excitement. News outlets, social media platforms, and dinner table conversations all centered around one grand event: the royal wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. It was the kind of moment destined for history books, a real-life fairy tale featuring a dashing prince, a beautiful American actress, and all the splendor of British tradition. Millions tuned in as Meghan walked gracefully down the aisle in a stunning white gown. The choir sang, the crowd cheered, and the streets of Windsor overflowed with celebration. Celebrities, political leaders, and royals gathered in one place to witness what felt like a perfect dream. Yet, amid the joy and royal pageantry, one presence was conspicuously absent: Meghan's father, Thomas Markle. To many watching, it was a heartbreaking mystery. Why wasn't he there to walk his daughter down the aisle? Why wasn't he seated proudly in the front row on the most important day of her life? The official explanation, initially, was health-related. Reports emerged that Thomas had suffered heart problems and required surgery, prompting a wave of public sympathy. It seemed like a case of bad timing and unfortunate circumstance. But soon, troubling details began to surface. Just days before the wedding, British tabloids published a series of clearly staged paparazzi photos of Thomas Markle, reading books about Britain, getting fitted for a suit, and viewing photos of Meghan and Harry in an internet cafe. The images appeared too curated, too convenient. The truth came out: Thomas had collaborated with photographers to stage those scenes in exchange for money. What followed was a media firestorm. He was accused of trying to profit from Meghan's fame, of embarrassing her during a moment that was supposed to be pure and joyful. Others blamed the relentless press for manipulating a vulnerable man in a confusing time. For Thomas, it was a deeply painful experience. He admitted to staging the photos but claimed his motivation wasn't greed. Rather, he said, he was trying to repair his public image after being portrayed as disheveled and unwell. He believed that by showing himself in a more favorable light, he could regain some dignity before the world saw his daughter marry into royalty. But instead, the attempt backfired spectacularly. Then came the leaked messages, text exchanges and phone calls between Meghan, Harry, and Thomas. The public was divided. Some saw Thomas as a desperate father trying to stay relevant in his daughter's life. Others believed Meghan had every right to cut ties. Regardless of opinion, one fact remained: Thomas Markle was not at the wedding. He's since said in multiple interviews that he tried to reach out, that he called, texted, even wrote handwritten letters in an attempt to make amends. But no response ever came. Just silence. According to Thomas, missing the royal wedding was not a choice. He told TMZ that after suffering a heart attack and weathering the scandal of the staged photos, he was overwhelmed with stress, confusion, and shame. He said he received little support or guidance and was left to navigate a media hurricane alone. Watching his daughter's wedding alone on television, Thomas later recalled, brought him to tears. "I should have been there," he said. "I wanted to be there, but I wasn't." That absence, he believes, marked the beginning of a deep, emotional rupture. It was more than just missing a ceremony. It was the moment he lost his connection to Meghan. Now, years later, Thomas Markle has finally decided to share the secrets he's kept hidden for so long. In a raw and emotional interview, he opened up in ways he never had before, and the world took notice. For years, he'd remained mostly silent, offering only brief comments or statements. But this time, he spoke directly and honestly, answering the question that has haunted many: how does a once-loving relationship between a father and daughter completely unravel? Thomas began by saying that Meghan didn't slowly drift away from him, it was immediate. According to him, the change came swiftly after she officially joined the royal family. He never imagined that someone he'd supported so deeply could shut him out so completely. He recalled private moments from the past that painted a much different picture of their bond. He said Meghan used to promise that if she ever became rich or famous, she would take care of him. "Dad, when I make it big, I'll buy you a new house. You won't have to worry about anything," she would say. But Thomas claims those promises were abandoned the moment she stepped into royalty. He revealed that after his heart surgery, while he lay weak and afraid in a hospital bed, he waited for a call, a message, a visit, anything. But none came. According to him, no one from Meghan's side reached out. Not even a simple "Are you okay?" That kind of silence, he said, cut deeper than any physical pain. It left him feeling discarded, like someone who no longer mattered. Perhaps the most heartbreaking revelation was that Thomas has never met his grandchildren. He has never held Archie or Lilibet, never read them a story, never heard their laughter. The only glimpse he's had of them has been through photos in the media. "It's like I've been cut out of a story I helped begin," he said. These words, simple yet gut-wrenching, reveal the depth of his sorrow and the emotional toll of estrangement. For Thomas Markle, this isn't just about public image or scandal, it's about loss. The loss of a daughter he once adored, the loss of a relationship he once believed was unbreakable, and the loss of a family he's never had the chance to truly know. His interview may not change the past, but for the first time, his side of the story has been heard. Whether it brings reconciliation or only deeper division remains to be seen. But one thing is clear, behind every royal headline is a human story, and this one is filled with heartbreak, longing, and a father's enduring love. Thomas Markle's words grew heavy when he spoke about how much Meghan had changed. He remembered a daughter who had once been full of love, thoughtful, compassionate, the kind of person who wrote heartfelt letters, helped neighbors, and greeted strangers with warmth. But that daughter, he said, seemed to vanish. In her place was someone distant, guarded, and cold. Thomas, who turns 80 next year, has not been in good health. A near-death experience just last year reignited his longing for reconciliation with his daughter. He spoke of a wall, an invisible barrier he feels Meghan built between herself and everyone from her past. And though he doesn't claim to fully understand why she pulled away, he wonders, was it the crushing weight of royal expectations? The pressure to fit into an ancient institution obsessed with perfection? Or was it something deeper, a personal choice to let go of her former life? That question, Thomas said, is what keeps him up at night. Not knowing why she disappeared from his life is a wound that refuses to close. "People think I want attention," he said, "but I just want my daughter back. I want to hold my grandkids. I want to hear her voice." To Thomas, this isn't about being left out of the spotlight. It's about a broken bond, a daughter lost, a father forgotten, and grandchildren who may never hear his stories, feel his hugs, or know the sound of his laughter. And that, he says, is the greatest heartbreak of all. Because when families fall apart, they don't just go quiet. They leave behind scars. Despite the pain, Thomas ended his interview with words of love. He said he still holds hope for peace, for healing, for one phone call that could begin to mend what was broken. "No matter how far fame takes you," he said, "or how high the castle walls are built, a father's heart always waits at the door." Thomas Markle certainly believes so. He thinks the strict rules and expectations of royal life changed Meghan. The British monarchy is known for its obsession with image. Every move, every photo, every word is carefully orchestrated by palace advisors to preserve the crown's spotless reputation. According to Thomas, once Meghan married into that world, she changed. She became more private, more cautious, and less willing to trust, even those closest to her. The warm, open daughter he once knew, he said, started to pull away. Her royal life didn't leave room for the kind of intimate connection they once shared. He felt as if she was torn between two worlds, one with her family and roots, and another bound by royal traditions, relentless media scrutiny, and duty. But many believe the truth is more complicated. From Meghan's perspective, there may have been deeper reasons for the distance. Reports surfaced of Thomas giving multiple interviews to the press, staging photos for tabloids, and revealing private moments. To Meghan, these actions may have felt like betrayal, a breach of trust at the worst possible time. Imagine seeing someone you love turn your family life into public spectacle, especially while navigating the pressures of global fame. Thomas, however, insists he never meant to cause harm. "I just wanted to be part of her life," he said. He claims his intentions were rooted in love, not attention-seeking. He hoped those public gestures would show his support, but instead, they only seemed to drive them further apart. So who is right? Was Meghan justified in protecting herself from media-fueled family drama? Or was Thomas a misunderstood father caught in a whirlwind of tabloid chaos and royal expectations? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between. Meghan may have felt she had to choose between preserving her new life and salvaging old relationships. And Thomas, while desperate to stay close, may not have realized how damaging his public appearances truly were. This isn't a story with clear heroes or villains. It's one of pain, mistakes, miscommunication, and love, still lingering beneath the hurt. What is certain is that both sides carry wounds. For Thomas, it's the ache of losing his daughter's trust. For Meghan, it's the weight of protecting her family while grappling with a fractured past. Recently, Thomas Markle released a message that touched people deeply. It wasn't a scandalous reveal or a media stunt. It was something far more raw, a final plea from a father to the daughter he still loves. "I'm not getting any younger," he said softly. "I don't want to die without hearing from my daughter again." That sentence, spoken with a trembling voice, pierced through the noise of years of headlines. Beneath the drama, beyond the tabloid covers, there was still a father, a man growing old, growing frail, and growing desperate to reconnect before it's too late. He apologized publicly to Meghan and Harry back in June, promising that it would be the last time he spoke to the press. But just weeks later, he was on camera again. This time, not for attention. This time, he said the only words that really matter: "I love you. I miss you." Imagine, even for a moment, what that must feel like for a father who once held his daughter's hand, helped her through life's early steps, and dreamed of walking her down the aisle. Now, he's left hoping for just a call, just a moment, before time runs out. He once cheered from the audience during her school plays, helped with homework, and backed every dream she dared to chase. Now Thomas Markle sits alone, waiting for a simple phone call or text, an agonizing silence no parent should ever have to endure. Even the best athletes stumble, and for Alyssa Thomas this was one of those nights. Shots rimmed out, turnovers piled up, and the trademark fire that usually fuels her game seemed to flicker. Fans murmured in disbelief, how could a player famous for rising in big moments fall so short? When the final buzzer sounded, everyone expected a routine breakdown of missed assignments and lost opportunities. Instead, Alyssa stepped to the podium and detonated a bombshell. Ignoring questions about the loss, she alleged that throughout the game, and on social media, the Indiana Fever fan base had hurled racial slurs at her. These were not, she said, a few scattered trolls, the abuse was constant and pervasive. The gravity of her claim was unmistakable. If true, it demanded urgent action from the WNBA and the broader sports community. Yet Alyssa offered no screenshots, recordings, or specific examples, leaving reporters and viewers stunned by the absence of evidence in an era when receipts are expected. Social media erupted. Supporters insisted that racism in sports remains rampant and that Alyssa's allegations deserved immediate, serious investigation. They cited countless past incidents where athletes of color endured similar abuse. Skeptics, however, questioned the timing. Was the accusation a heat-of-the-moment response to a disappointing performance? Without concrete proof, they argued, the charge risked unfairly tarnishing an entire fan base and diluting future claims of real abuse. Television panels and podcasts dissected the controversy. Some praised Alyssa for following the path of athletes like LeBron James, Naomi Osaka, and Colin Kaepernick, using her platform to spotlight systemic racism. Others worried that unsubstantiated allegations could erode her credibility and make it harder for future victims to be believed. The debate widened into a larger conversation about accountability. How can athletes responsibly speak out against racism while ensuring claims are documented and verifiable? Where is the line between raising awareness and inadvertently harming innocent fans? Regardless of where one lands on Alyssa Thomas's specific claim, the episode underscored an uncomfortable truth: racism still shadows professional sports. Social media has amplified both the voices of athletes calling it out and the abusive taunts that provoke them. Finding the balance between urgently exposing hate and rigorously substantiating allegations remains one of the sport world's toughest challenges.